This just trying to get this phone situated. So I can. Is that good? I think that's good. Larry said, I don't know about any of this, but I'm gonna learn today. Oh, I think you will. Larry P broke out, but he'll be back, trust me. Larry P is part of the Poker Face Society. Shout out to everybody in the replay gang. We here. Saturday, August 2nd, 2025. I'm in the dirty South somewhere. Sidebar, before we even get started, right? Because I only brought one book with me, which is Rockefeller Medicine, right? I got a small, just carried a small little bag, and I just threw one book in there. You guys know me. I need one book at least. I got my audio book, but I need one book. So I just grabbed one of my favorite books, which is Rockefeller Medicine, man. And then I realized, I didn't even bring the Bible, right? I love Catholic. I don't have no religion, and I'm sure I don't have the same God as you. But I do carry the Bible because there's so many principles, and I just love the Bible itself. You know what I'm saying? So I realized, I was like, wait a minute, you in a hotel? They gotta keep a Bible in the hotel. And sure enough, I went to the side of my bed, and guess what was there? A Bible. So I get to reading, and I know where I wanted to start, right? I know I wanted to start at Genesis to Genesis 1, verse 26, and it said, God said, let us make man in our image. That verse bothered a lot of people, and it still does to this day. But give me a second. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. It doesn't make sense to a lot of people. And they're like, why is it using a plural grammar if it's talking about a singular noun? And God said. And the short answer is originally it wasn't talking about a singular monotheistic God at all. It was talking about a pantheon of gods. But that doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there. It said, let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. I kept on reading. It said, and so God created man in his own image, and the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. A lot of pronouns going on there. And then I go to read this part. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish in the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And then it hit me. I said, well, maybe you didn't give clear enough instructions. Nowhere there does that say, you didn't necessarily say, men, get with the females, right? Maybe you gave man too much credit, right? What if the first thing he did immediately after you giving these instructions is run down on another man, right? You say, yo, God blessed us. Let's do this. And God is sitting there like, whoa, what the fuck are you doing, bro? No, you blessed us. Yeah. Bro, I made you for that thing over there. What are you doing? Oh, I didn't even think. That's wild. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, what the fuck are you doing? But I don't think the instructions was clear. Anyway, my show is not about that. How many people still believe that Demi, what's up? What's up, Demi? How many of you people still believe that we're the only ones, we're the only ones down here? How many of you guys still believe the story? The story. You know what's crazy? Now, before you guys, I'm telling you, I shouldn't be blowing your mind in 2025 with the things I'm saying. I should not be blowing your mind. And I think the newer generations will get me. The older generations, they're stuck in their ways. They were taught what they were taught, and they're scared to death to take new information and consider it. But the new generations kind of get it. They're not fearful. So the possibility of other humanoid beings being on this planet, the possibility of Jesus never existing, not being God, the possibility of Yahweh being a bullshit God, the possibility of all the religions being pure fuckery, the possibility that there are so many different humanoid species on this planet from different star galaxies, they consider it. Not that they're right, not that they're right, and not that you're right. But that's what makes your thinking dogmatic and dangerous especially when you're dogmatic and the things don't add up logically, right? So now religion is falling to fucking shambles because they can't control it like they once did. So now the truth is just unfolding at a rapid pace. At a rapid pace. But I get it. People are scared to death. They're like, yo, if I turn my back, well, it all also it depends on what you classify as a god and define as a god. And I'm gonna keep it real. I don't try to get people to turn their back on their God because I don't have anything else to offer you, right? So if that thing has been giving you hope in all these years and keeping you afloat, then shit, you need to go with that. Historically, though, I looked at the history of a lot of these civilizations, and I've come to the conclusion that the reptilians were probably here first. The reptilians. Now, there was some excavating going on in Sierra Leone, and they were digging for blood, what we call blood diamonds. And they found these little figurines, right? Now, here's the elite of this world are so dirty. They're so dirty that they won't give you the history, right? They won't give you the history. They found these figurines, these Africans, and for some reason, archaeologists only dated them back like 500 years. Maybe 500 to 2,500, which was dead wrong, right? And the less popular archaeologists, they're like, no, that's not wrong. According to how we were taught, we're looking at these figurines being at least 17,000 years old. Well, you can't have a story like that fucking floating around. You understand? So the mainstream elite, the elite are always going to get the mainstream media, teachers, educators to change the story. And their story is considered more valid because they went to the institutions, they went to the schools to be qualified to be considered Dr. Such and such, right? But never mind all that, right? This is the poker face society. You don't need a doctorate for your logic and your reason. No one needs to give you permission to use your logic and your reason. And there's some more powerful things that you could use if your cognition wasn't harnessed down with gobbledygook, lies and deception. And what does that mean? Well, that means they don't want to really tell you the capabilities of what you can do. They don't even want to tell you the capabilities of your own existence in this body and what it can do. And I know for a fact you can tap into all sorts of what you may consider superhuman things. Now, let's take this character, Jesus. If in fact, because I was explaining to someone the other day, the character Jesus or Yahushua, his people in the story were forced to become Jews. Do you know that? Does anyone know that? Doesn't matter. Advent Barrios. What's up, Advent? His people were forced to become Jews. Does anyone know that? And you say, why and how was his people in the story forced to become Jews? Because the Hasmonean dynasty was being attacked. So what they did in that area, according to the story, was they made everyone in that area become a practicing Jew. But other than that, Yahshua or Yahushua, however you would like to pronounce, was initially part of a group called the Essenes. And yes, when they teach you today, they're going to teach you that the Essenes were a sect of Jews. But they're going to teach you as if they evolved as Jews into something called the Essenes, which is not true at all. None of that's true. They were Essenes naturally and originally. Then the Hasmonean dynasty forced these people to become practicing Jews. Not only them, it was anybody in that region, right? So you had Nazarites, you had Essenes, you had different people in that region. Am I Jewish? No, I don't. I'm not Jewish. A lot of people are not Jewish that claim to be Jewish. You would have to be from Judea. You would have to been genetically from Judea to be Jewish. Now, ask everybody else if they Jewish. You asking me if I'm Jewish? Are you Jewish? Do you believe in God? Define God, and I'll tell you if I believe in God. And hit the like button while you're here. And do subscribe to the channel. Define God. Define God. Now, let me get back to the history lesson of Yahushua. He was from a group called the Essenes. The Essenes, they were a mystic people. When you hit a certain age, it was customary to send your child to a mystery school in Egypt if you were of a certain group. Yahushua was part of a certain group. Cooking Master. Slow down, Cooking Master. Let's slow the whole show down. We're going to slow it down. I have a person named Cooking Master here. I'm sure they have a channel. So let's start with shout out to you, Cooking Master, in your channel and everything that you set out to do, right? Because it sounds like you may be a culinary artist, which has nothing to do with the reason I stopped the show. I stopped the show because I asked you to define God, and you said the Bible, the Christianity, the Jesus, Holy Christ, Holy Spirit. Is that, bro? If you came over here to have real conversation, let's have real conversation. You still haven't defined God. You just started naming shit. Like random shit too. So define God. You asking me if I believe in God, and you don't know what you asking me. Define God. What is a God? What is a God, bro? For you to be asking me, do I believe in God? Answer me what a God is. And I'm gonna answer you. There's no way you could have become a culinary master and you can't communicate. Don't get lazy on me now. He said, bro, these aren't shit. God, light or lights? I don't believe in your God. So I have to answer no. To your question, somebody else may answer me, do I believe in God? I'm going to say yes. But to your answer, the answer is no. And that's why I asked, what's your definition of God? I don't know. I don't know your definition of God. Now, I can tell you straight up, I don't believe in most people's gods. Lights of light is the absolute definition of God. I like this conversation. I like this conversation. Now, whoever gave that definition of God, I don't think they knew what they was talking about. But don't be offended, Cooking Master. Most of these people that write shit in these dictionaries, they write it so they can throw things off. But if we talk about the source, what if the sun wasn't the God, but the people who created the Homo sapiens sapien? The people from this story right here, Genesis 26, 126, right? Now, keep in mind, these people done plagiarized this book, meaning they took from other cultures and then they created this book. This book was a bunch of plagiarism put together with crazy glue, right? But it says, and God said, first of all, that's wrong right there. They lied to y'all. That's first of all. Now you say how they lied to us. I'm not talking to Cooking Master right now. I'm talking to everybody else, right? Cooking Master, give me a second. I'm going to read your comment in a second. I'm talking to everybody else. They lied to you. When the Greek translated it, it said the Elohim. The Elohim is a plural word. The Greek translated it as they saw fit. And this is why the shit don't make sense to you today. Elohim is a plural word meaning more than one. It's a council, right? So let's just take it on that. And the council said, let us make man in our image. Don't that make more sense? Don't that make more sense than a monotheistic God saying, let us make man in our own image, and then I'm telling you some stupid shit about, why does it say, everybody asks when they go to the church, why does it say that? And they don't know how to answer you, so they tell you more random bullshit. Oh, it's the Trinity. It's the Father, the Son, and the Holy. They just making shit up on the fly, and you go with it. You have limited time on Earth, and you're gonna spend it listening to some motherfucker feeding you gobbledygook that don't know shit about shit. And you think I'm the crazy one? Hell no. You wild for wasting your time, wasting another second of your life listening to somebody that don't know shit about shit, judging you, huh? Judging you because you like to freak off. Yeah, you out here judging Diddy. But what's the difference from fucking baby oil and some Victoria's Secret fucking lotion? Because that's my go-to game. You understand? Well, it was my go-to game. I'm married. You know what I'm saying? So, not that I can't use Victoria's Secret on my wife, but it was my go-to game. Yeah, Victoria's Secret lotion. Your pastor got a whole coke habit. This nigga is gay and he loves to smoke a little cokety coke on the side when he's feeling frisky. And he's judging you because you like to freak off or do normal shit, right? Because somewhere here, it didn't really say, it didn't give verbatim instructions. What it says is, and the Elohim blessed them. And the Elohim said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Now, these are the instructions. I'm going to tell you right now. Call and call. Call and call. Step to the front. Listen, YouTube. You could do what you want. You understand? You feel how you're feeling frisky on a Friday night. You do what you want with the little rod God gave you. But I think from the instructions, he meant for you to put that into a female. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. I think he meant for you to put that in the female. And I'm going to tell you something, Carl. You don't know what you're missing. You understand? You don't know what you're missing. I don't know what they put in there, Carl. That shit is like a ray of sunshine. Is you shitting me? That shit is like putting your genitals in a ray of fucking sunshine. Nonetheless, we was given instructions to be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth, and the only way you can really do that is with the opposite of sexual. But this show ain't about that. What this show is about is extraterrestrials, and I'll get there though. I got a long way to go. But I do not think we were the first people. I know we weren't the first people here. We'll talk about that in a second when we get to the Dogon tribe. But as far as the modern Homo sapiens sapien, me and you understand? It is documented in several ancient texts, including this one that likes to control you so much. It's a beautiful book, but the religions that were created, damn, they hold you back. They hold you back. And by the time you really get to know who you are, I hope you're not like fucking 76 on your last month here on earth. And now you wanna do over. You're not getting a do over. You let these brothers, these people finagle you out of your time, believing in things with limitations. And I believe you are way better than that. I do. Now, anyway, I brought this Bible up and I brought that passage up because there are civilizations that are older than the people that they call the Hebrews. Civilizations that's older than the people they call the Hebrews. If you did the history to the people that they call the Hebrews, they were I'm not going to say kidnapped. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm not looking for captured either. But There's a specific word I want to use, and I have OCD, so that's why I'm holding up the show and seeing if the word could pop in my head. It's not gonna pop in my head, so let me move on. But it's gonna bother me that it didn't pop in my head. Anyway, these Ryan Clifton was good. Ryan, where you been at, bro? Motherfucking Ryan Clifton is in the building. Shout it out, Ryan. The Hebrews, they were overtaken by a multiple of cultures. One being the Assyrians, right? Three being One being the Assyrians, three being the Persians, two being the Babylonians. Now, when they're captivity, told you I would get it. Told you I would get it. When they were under the Babylonian captivity and the Assyrian captivity, those two cultures held still had old world knowledge, older world knowledge, right? This knowledge would be suppressed when we hit the Romans. When the Romans got control, all of this knowledge would be suppressed, right? Of course, Constantine, and I don't want to jump the story, but Constantine made it seem like he was in favor of Christianity, but that was never the case. He was just using it because it was so popular. So he used it as a ploy. It's like if you can't beat them, join them. It was like that. But original Christianity it wasn't structured nothing like the Christianity you see today. It told more secrets to the universe and who the person was, right? So a lot of people who did understand the original Christianity, people thought they were magicians and shit like that, right? And they even thought Yahushua, who you call Jesus, was a god. Why? Because he knew how to do certain things other people didn't know how to do. But other people just wasn't taught. That was the only thing, right? He was sent to a mystery school at 12, and you know what I'm saying? He jumped back on the scene in his 30s. So, you're looking at 21 years in the mystery school, something like that, right? I mean, if you spent 21 years in the mystery school and came out here amongst these mere mortals, they gonna look at you like a god too, bro. You understand? You don't learn how to levitate. The Essenes already knew how to heal. That was the specialty of the Essenes. Essenes were the ones who created the things we call hospices, and eventually the world would create hospitals. So the Essenes were this is the organization that he comes from. This is what they're never going to tell you. They're not going to tell you in this book. They're not going to tell you in your religion. They're not going to tell you none of these things. It's cool, though, because I'm not even here to talk about Yahushua, who you call Jesus, or none of those things. What I'm here to discuss is how the story of making man was plagiarized from the Sumerians in the first place, and the Babylonians also told this story. Now, you can find these older, if you don't believe me, right? Because I could be up here spewing bullshit. God forbid I come on the YouTube and I'm spewing total fucking nonsense. It's not the case, but you can look at older texts, ancient texts that talk. One is called Enki and Ninhursag. The Epic of Enki and Ninhursag. You could go there. They definitely talk about. There's other epics that talk about the creation of man. Now, it's very coincidental that these older ancient stories would exist and they didn't want to tell you about it. They was hoping you never find out about that shit, right? Shout out to Zachariah Sitchin, rest in peace. But I don't believe his interpretation of the Sumerian tablets were accurate, but I don't think they were dramatically off either, right? I think he got obsessed with the way he wanted to see things, but I love his story. So, do go check out the 12th Planet, that book there. Cooking Master says he is Persian. I love the Persians. Let me get to you. I promised you that I would read your comment, Cooking Master, And I will. Let me just go ahead and go back some. Okay. So let me ask you this way. Are you Christian, Muslim, or Jewish? I am none of those things. I will tell you why. Um, Christianity and Muslim evolved from the Jewish religion. Judaic religion. The Judaic religion is a bullshit religion. listen, I be trolling y'all. So don't get mad when I say that. I say that because I know it's going to piss somebody off, right? I could definitely say it more delicately. I like when I say it like that because it makes me fucking laugh, right? So it doesn't really matter if I say it more delicately or if I say it aggressively. I'm saying the same thing. It is a bullshit religion. Why is it? You can ask me. You can push back. I'm like, why would you say it's a bullshit religion? Where the fuck should I start? The fact that if you go to Abraham's father, I want to know what makes them Hebrew. No one has answered me yet, right? So if you go to Abraham's father, he came from Ur of the Chaldees. Okay. That doesn't make you fucking Hebrew because you came from Ur of the Chaldees, bro. Now, in your story, you saying, nah, there was an angel, he changed me. My name was changed from Abraham to Abraham. And yo. First of all, that's your story. A lot that's going on in your story, they have no archaeological evidence of, they have no evidence of none of this shit y'all talking about. So, fuck your story. How about that? Let's deal with what actually happened. And let's deal with the logical and reasonable things first. Why? What makes you a Hebrew? Not one person has answered me yet. It's going to be very hard for you to answer me because it's a bullshit story and you don't know what made them Hebrew. I don't know what made them Hebrew. Crossing a border does not make you Hebrew. That's number one. The Moses story is also a story that was taken from older civilizations. The whole putting a baby in a basket and moving them up a river, all of that was already used in different older civilizations, way older than the Hebrews. So when you're going through history and you're seeing how they use crazy glue to piece all of these things together, you're like, yo, you guys are something fucking else. But I think I figured it out, but I'm still. The reason I haven't announced it yet, I don't have an original thought in that area of figuring it out because I've read books like The Moses Mystery with Gary, what is his name? Gary Greenspan. Greenspan, I think is his name. Greenberg. Gary Greenberg. I've read different peer-reviewed articles that led me to the point I'm at right now. It's not like I'm just saying this just to say it and piss you off. I do say it to piss you off when I say it's a bullshit religion, but my reasoning behind it is not bullshit at all, right? So it's more evidence that this was a put together religion that kind of like just took off as as one of the mainstream. And then you have Christianity, and I explained to you second ago, Christianity, that the original Christianity and what we get today is not the same Christianity, right? You had people that don't really believe in Christianity that formed Christianity. People like Constantine, right? And they're forming this Christianity because the numbers are there. So they want to use the numbers on their side. But at the same time, they didn't even have the understanding that the original Christians had, the power. And they didn't understand it. Constantine was scared to death of the fucking Christians. He was scared. The real Christians, not the fake fucking bullshit Christians. So there's a lot going on. So no, I can't believe in any of that. Any of it. None of those religions can I tap in with and say I I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. So that's going to be that. Now, Cooking Master, here's Cooking Master's last thing. Cooking Master says, I have lots of Christian friends. Me too. But I'm Muslim. I've seen them faithful. I've seen them filthy. This is correct. I've always prayed, God bless you. God bless you, my friend. God bless you, Cooking Master. Now, one thing I don't do over here is I don't necessarily bash people who have a religion or believe in whoever they believe in, right? It is well known when you come over here, I don't believe in Yahweh. Yahweh kind of came out of nowhere. He wasn't part of the Canaanite pantheon. He wasn't part of the Persian pantheon. He wasn't part of the Akkadian, Sumerian. He wasn't part of no fucking pantheon. He wasn't part of the Egyptian pantheon. Now, they say, oh, yeah, they wrote about Yahweh in Egypt. That's bullshit, and it's an embellishment of what is really there. They had a writing of YWH, which is not the correct spelling of Yahweh anyway. And it's not even a tetragram of Yahweh. It's not, none of that. It's 3 letters that doesn't necessarily, that real scholars would tell you to this day, it doesn't necessarily mean they were talking about Yahweh on that particular Egyptian stele. That whenever you hear scholars say, oh, the Egyptians wrote about Yahweh. No, the fuck they didn't. Look into it a little bit more and you'll find out they are capping, what the young people call the blue cap, right? They're embellishing, and they're no more than the ancient West. They're apologists like Wes Huff. Shout out to Wes Huff and his bullshit. But yeah, you got to be careful what they try to feed you, because they'll have you believe in a whole lot of stuff. This is why it's always important for you to study yourself. If you study yourself, then you could talk like I could talk, because a lot of them are not going to challenge me because they don't know if I'm going to push back, which I am going to push back, and you don't know how much I know about when I push back. So you might get yourself jammed up. I catch you out there in a straight lie, which I will. So let's get into this now. Now that we know, I take my time with shit, right? Now that we know, well, I know, and I'm telling you, you're gonna have to look it up yourself. You can't just trust anybody fucking talking on the YouTube dressed in all blue because he has confidence. So as I say it, I'm expecting you to write the shit down, and then you go on your free time, you look it up, you see me again up here on YouTube, you come back, yo, Jamal, you was right. Yeah, I know that. What am I right about? Yeah. Other ancient civilizations were talking about creating the modern man before the Bible. Yeah, I told you, beloved, the Bible out here plagiarizing this shit. That's what they do. It's okay, though. Now you have the knowledge of different civilizations doing this, right? Now, the Dogon tribe, that's what I was talking about. No, I wasn't actually. I was talking about the Sierra Leone, the figurines that they found, which these paid archaeologists, you can't trust every archaeologist, right? Who they call experts, right? Who's that? Dave the Professor. Dave the Professor, he likes to swear by the experts. Don't swear by the experts, bro. The experts have shown us time and time again they could be brought. Time and time again that they could be brought. So, look, write this down. Write this down. Abraham Flexner. Now, I'm trusting you that when I say write something down, you actually writing that shit down. I'm turning on the air. Okay. I guess that will come on when it comes on. Abraham Flexon was an expert. Who did he write for? He wrote for John D. Rockefeller and Carnegie. And he's the same one that went around and destroyed all those health universities, the universities that were teaching people how to become health professionals. Well, they had an idea that we can pretty much monopolize and control the health industry if we start from the source of education. So what we need to do, this is Rockefeller and Carnegie. What we need to do is we need to start at the source of education. So that's what they did. And what they did was got a guy named Abraham Flexner to go around and pretty much blackmail the colleges, right? He said he's going to write an article. And if they was on board with what was coming down the pipeline with Carnegie and Rockefeller, then he would write a decent article on the behalf of that school and basically inspire other people reading it to, hey, this is where you want to send your kid for school. But if they wasn't on board, he said that school was full of shit, right? And a lot of colleges had to close their doors after that article because people were not registering their kids to go to these schools. That's what happens when you trust the experts. Look at where we at now. Where we at now? I mean, the experts got up on TV and told you, look, if you take the vaccine, you're not going to catch COVID, right? And it's just as simple as that. That's what the experts told you. Not only did you catch COVID, motherfuckers died, bro. Yeah. To this day, I still have people asking me. They're like, "Hey, so you didn't take the vaccine, huh?" And I said, "No." And they say, "You ended up in the hospital, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And they're like, they're giving me the face like, "What does that tell you?" It tells me you released a fucking biological weapon, stupid. What the fuck are you talking about? You released a biological weapon that you wasn't even supposed to be working with in the United States, so you had to go out of the United States and use American money to finish working on it, and you released it on the world. What are you looking at me like, hey, maybe if you took it, you wouldn't have, maybe if you didn't release it on the people, nobody would have got sick. I wouldn't have ended up in the hospital. Fuck you mean? And your so-called solution had adverse effects that the experts were not telling everyone. I knew about it because I read. So it was on the CDC website. I read it. It said that they are aware of myocarditis. However, they even explained what it was. They said we are aware of myocarditis. However, we still suggest you take it. That's wicked, beloved. Now, let's get back to this. The figurines that they found while digging for blood diamonds in Sierra Leone, there were small little figurines of like reptilian people. It was crazy. It was crazy because, again, they said this is about 500, the mainstream archaeologists. Oh, this is like 500 years old. No, it wasn't. There was a bunch of other archaeologists that I'm assuming stayed true to their true studying and teaching that admitted this is not 500 years old. This is more like 17,000 years old. Now, it makes sense that these reptilians would have been running around the earth. Anyway, you guys that really watch me already know that is my theory. But let me tell you something. It makes more sense when you read even this Bible, and as you're reading it, you realize that Eve was talking to a walking, talking reptilian. There's not a lot about that reptilian in this book here they call the Bible. In the beginning, it's not a lot about it. But when you put the stories from different people around the world who have stories of ancient snake people underneath the earth, then it starts to make sense. Again, these stories would never be popularized, and at this point they're going to be called a myth, right? Now, you have to use your own logic and reason and ask, why is it when I read the Bible it's not called a myth, but it's historical? Mind you, there's a lot of shit in this Bible that is not historical at all, including Mount Sinai, right? They have your brain totally warped. If you was to ask a real archaeologist and historian, they would tell you, we don't know where Mount Sinai really is. They made that shit up for people to go to because it's a place that people could reference. But there is no evidence of a real Mount Sinai at all, ever, nowhere. The same thing with Nazareth. You think that, oh, there's a place called Nazareth. Yeah, there's a place called Nazareth now. There was no place called Nazareth because they translated wrong, right? So as these Greeks are translating and they're saying Jesus of Nazareth, it was a bad translation. It really should have meant Jesus of the Nazarenes. And the Nazarenes were considered, a lot of times people confuse the Nazarenes and the Essenes. That's the problem. Because they were both organizations. They weren't necessarily the same organization at all. But they were similar in certain ways, right? I would definitely say they had that cult effect going on. And I do believe the Nazarenes was a little bit larger in population. I'm not sure about that. You might want to look that part up, but I do believe I read that part. So they assume that Jesus was from the Nazarenes. He wasn't from the Nazarenes, he was from the Essenes. But by them saying that, it translated to Jesus of Nazareth. And as that phrase grew legs, they realized, wait, we don't even have a fucking Nazareth out here. And then people started coming to go to visit the Holy Land of Nazareth, like the place where Jesus was born. And then they would get there and there wasn't no fucking Nazareth. So they had to quickly build one. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's not even what today's show is about. But it's all connected. It is all connected. So the figurines that they say is 500 to 2,500 years old, which I believe is older, 17,000 years old, were these small figurines of a reptilian-like people. Now, I told you, if you watch my show, that I've always thought that the reptilian was here before the Homo sapiens sapien, me and you, mankind, right? I've always told you that. I told you, I thought, and I believe that the humanoids from all of these different star galaxies or star constellations that make up the Galactic Federation of Light, I do believe at one point they had a helping hand in making the Homo sapiens sapien. Now, let's talk about this Galactic Federation of Light. There's a guy named Ishid. I'm going to spell that for you. Haim. First name, Ham. Last name, Eshed. Eshed. Hayam Eshed. Hayam Eshed. Former head of Israel's Space Security Defense Ministry Space Doctorate in Military Intelligence, Unit 81. It amazes me how much people want to talk about bullshit and then real shit be going down, but because it sounds unfamiliar to their ears, they think you're the crazy one. That's crazy. Anyway, this Ham Eshed, he publicly referenced a galactic federation. This galactic federation, allegedly, is collaborating with Earth's government, forming secret agreements and even sharing joint underground bases. You don't have to believe me. I'm not asking you to believe me. Actually, I don't really ask for people's validity on certain things because I realize most people don't do their own thinking for themselves anyway. So the fuck am I asking you for? You don't know shit about shit. Now, we've had, this would be our third interstellar object. We are on our third interstellar object. The first one, I do believe, would be Oumuamua. I think that's the first one. I've heard them call Oumuamua the Black Knight. The pictures that they show us of Oumuamua, it looks like a elongated rock. It is not smooth. It just looks like a elongated stone, which I guess if you're looking at it from a telescope, at first glance would look like a comet. But then it appears that it does not move like a comet at all. It moves with purpose. It orbits with purpose. There was another interstellar object. I don't know the name of that one. But then now we're on our third one, which I think they're calling Atlas. Atlas. And I think they just discovered this somewhere around July 1st. Anybody in the comment section, you could even on the replay, right? I do shows because I just, if I like the topic, I'm going to talk about it. I know ahead of time what's going to get audience members and what's not, right? So in order for me to get really get audience members, you got to put fucking Trump and all that. For me, I got to put Trump and all of that shit in my title and all of that shit. I'm not doing none of that. I did it earlier because I wanted to talk about that. But if I don't feel like talking about that, I'm not going to do that, right? But that doesn't mean I still don't have a core 250 people that's going to watch the replay. Is that I still have a core 250 that's going to watch the replay and like the show. So I don't always do this for the people that's watching the live. Even if that number says fucking 0, I'm going to put on like that shit says 100,000. You understand? Now, scientists, first of all, let's just talk about how the latest interstellar object, how fast it's fucking moving. It's moving at 135,000 miles per hour. Yo, that's crazy. If you just take the time, Just think about it, right? When your man be wilding out, you in the car, he's out here wilding out, speeding and shit. And he just be doing a little 100 miles, 100 and something miles per hour. You like, yo, slow down. Bruh. 135,000 miles? Per hour? It's crazy. Now, from what they're saying is, they're saying this object is still 450 million miles away from even being close to our sun or Earth. And it's not on the trajectory of Earth anyway. But my question to everyone was, if with all of this stuff coming out now, right? They also don't believe this is a comet. They also believe this is some type of possible technology from a remote galaxy, possibly to spy on Earth, see how the Earthlings are doing, how our young planet is keeping up. I don't think we're doing great. For some reason, I don't think we're older than many of the planets that's out there. I just think we're doing the fucking worst. Right? And that's horrible. To be the youngest and we're still not understanding frequency. We're still not understanding the technology. And I don't really necessarily think that has a lot to do with so much us as a Homo sapien people as much as it does. You know what I think really happened? I think some of the older what do I want to call them? The older beings, the original beings that had a hand in developing the Homo sapien. I think some of their bloodline is still here. I think they're still here down on Earth. And I think it's those bloodlines that are making it harder than it has to be, right? Because they want total dominance on this planet. And I get it. You can't readily there are other planets out there, even Earth-like planets, right? The problem is, I don't think these bloodlines know how the fuck to get off this planet either, right? I think they have certain knowledge that they keep very coveted and secret because that's all they got at this point. They got the fact that they are from an original bloodline that once ruled this earth, and they have methodologies of obtaining riches on this earth, and they can't give that up, but they don't have the technology that originally brought their people down here to this planet. They don't have that. And they're desperately, I don't know why desperately they're trying to get out of here. I don't know where they think they're going. I seen something today about a program, a one-way ticket to Mars. A one-way ticket to Mars is crazy. What's crazy is like 20,000 people signed up. That's bananas. So the new satellite, because I think Oumuamua was discovered in 2017, and now 7 years later, 8 years later, my bad, my math is off. 8 years later, we have a new satellite, which they give it all these names, barreling to our galaxy. And I say, well, who still thinks that we're down here alone? And as I'm thinking about that, another thought pops in my head, and I said, the planet Nibiru that only orbits our planet every 3,600 years. They said, you know how many people that believe Jesus is coming back? And they're waiting patiently. Now I said, what if the character Jesus did go somewhere? Me personally, I don't know. But what if he did? And what if he went to Nibiru, and that planet only orbits this planet every 3,600 years? This is why I always ask, what is a God to you? With all the crazy, let's keep it 1,000. I think it's important for you to ask yourself, what is a God to, right? Because when good things happen, people always say, thank God. But when the bad things happen, where's God then? All you can say then is everything happened for a reason. Little boys and little girls getting molested is not everything fucking happens for a reason. The starvation of groups of people and the genocide of groups of people is not everything happens for a reason. So, forgive me for wanting a better answer. Right? Then I say, okay, I can't blame that on a God, right? I don't know if a God that loved his people would just sit there and be like, hey, I'll intervene when I feel it's necessary. Just let it happen the way it's gonna happen. I know I would sound crazy to certain people, right? But you would make up something that would excuse the all-powerful God that you believe in. And you say, well, don't question God. I'm not questioning your God. I don't even believe in your God. I'm not questioning your God. I'm questioning you. What makes you think your God is up there allowing little kids to get molested, people to get innocently, like the crazy shit that goes down here on this earth? And it's only convenient when your God blesses you with money or position or something you prayed for. Maybe you have the wrong definition of a God. You ever thought of that? I know you didn't. Maybe who you thinking of are extraterrestrials that came here and they were so powerful that people looked at them as something, as like what we would see as a God. Now, there's a God called Anu from An. And these people are called the Anunnaki. These people had way more technology, according to the ancient scriptures. Way more technology. Way more understandings of art, of science. I mean, they were definitely cloning and definitely had the ability to create artificial insemination and all type of shit, right? Creating people. We read this. They were flying around. We read this in the history. This is why they didn't want to. This is why they did mention them a little bit in this book, but they also demonized all of the people, right? They demonized Baal in this book. Said Baal is the devil. They made Baal seem like the devil. You know, Baal is from a Canaanite pantheon. One that the Jewish people would later on try to attach Yahweh to. But he wasn't part of no Canaanite. Yahweh is not part of any pantheon. Let's get to that. He's not part of any pantheon. He's out here running solo dolo from state to state. He never knew shit. He's always he's never in the loop. He don't know what's going on. He's always caught off guard. Look, you don't believe me. They never believe me when I tell them this. They just think I'm up here picking on poor little Yahweh. Leave Yahweh alone, poor little Yahweh. Easy. And it says, the people was trying to build a tower to the heavens. And it said, and they said to one another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us up a city in a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we scatter it abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord, they talk about Yahweh. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one. Right then and there, you know. What? I thought you was all knowing, bro. The fuck you mean, behold? Behold, the people is one. And I doubt he said, behold. Whoever wrote this has a lofty imagination. But behold, the people is one, and they all have one language, and this they begin to do. But dig this part right here. This is the most important part of all of that. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. And that's the part that we all miss. If we was to work together, especially considering our electromagnetic energy. Do you know that you could get, that's why I said, where there are two or three together, gathered in my name, there will my spirit be. Let's change that around a bit. Because if you get together, you could possibly, I'm talking about 4 or 5 people that actually believe that somebody will be healed based off of not a God that, forget a God. This is where the understanding of you comes in. When you could possibly heal someone in your house right now, just from being who you are. Never mind a God at all. Never mind a God at all. The fact that you understand the science of your anatomy, the electromagnetic energy that is radiating off of you is affecting that person. So when it says in the book where there are 2 or 3 gathered together in my name, there will my spirit be. Then check this out. There are organizations right now, hospitals with no equipment. When you fly the people there are like 20, 25 people who get in a room and they start chanting, right? They start chanting words. Why? Words are powerful vibrations, right? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And nothing that was created was not created without Him. So everything that is manifested through our words. But you got to even go back before that, right? And it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so, right? So, first of all, the words before you even think it is going to come from your heart, right? Now, what I'm telling you is, if you was to have, I say 4 people who absolutely believe that you guys understand that the radiation from your electromagnetic energy believes that someone can get healed, and y'all surround that person, I believe y'all can do it. I believe, and the scientists have already admitted the frequency that radiates from your heart. They've already admitted this. Everything I'm telling you right now, it sounds like bullshit, but then when you look up what I'm saying, you're going to be like, God damn, he was telling the truth. The heart is radiating. I don't want to start embellishing the feet, right? But there's a certain distance that your heart radiates electromagnetic energy. So, if they could get you to think negatively all the time, which obviously just look at what they try to do. Listen to what I'm saying, and then when you finish watching this program, just watch silently. Watch the earth. Everything is to induce fear into you. Everything is to get you to normalize negativity. Everything. Why do you think that? You think that's coincidence? You think that's by happenstance? You think that's... No, none of it is by coincidence. It is actually manufactured chaos. Because they understand you, but you don't understand you. They try to put a buffer between you and your reality. In reality, you didn't need none of the gods that they called gods. They gave you a god, and they first of all, you would have to understand that they beat and killed your ancestors just to believe in the gods that they offered you. So yes, I understand today you're very emotional about the God that you serve. The problem is you are so emotional that you would never do the history on that God, right? So when I tell you, yeah, your God is a bullshit God, all you could do is get upset and you say, I'm not listening to this nonsense, this devil worship. Well, you keep on doing what you do, right? And you continue to get the same results. You be all right. I don't give a shit. Right? I'm here to liberate those who want to be liberated, who don't have the courage, because they're thinking, how am I going to look to my family? How am I going to look to, society? They the walking dead, baby. Don't worry about them. They the walking fucking dead. I promise you that. This is why it's so important to understand philanthropy, right? This is a great book right here. This is a great book. Rockefeller Medicine Men. It goes into the weaponization of philanthropy and how it's used to get people to group think. Ah, man, you would have to understand all of these things. Right? My channel is not for everybody. It's only for a certain few. If I was on here for views and all of that other shit, I could talk about something else. I could talk about what gets views. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I do that from time to time. But there's a certain times I just do this for the love. I just do this for the people. And those are the times, when I'm talking like I'm talking, you're not gonna get everybody, because they don't. When I talk like this, they don't want everybody to know this type of shit. This is shit they don't want you to know. That you have the ability. Most people, they're not thinking about their own electromagnetic. When is your body not being energized? Let me ask you that. When is an electrical current not running through your body? Never. Charges are always popping off in your body all the time. Because information is leaving one cell and going to the other. Anytime that happens, anytime information leaves one cell to go to the next cell, there's always going to be there's always going to be a reaction. They call it a synapses, right? And what that is an electrical charge. So the electrical charge is even positive or negative. It's never not happening. Being that this is happening all the time, you get an electromagnetic radiation field around you. This is why when they say, yo, the vibes, you feel the vibes. Yeah, we could definitely feel the vibes. There's a lot of negativity going on over here. I don't want nothing to do with that. Because as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Right? So then we get into the universal laws. You're going to start attracting certain shit into your life. Then you want to know why shit is chaotic. As within, so without. You put a lot of bullshit into your universe. You never know when to cut it off. You normalize a lot of things you shouldn't be normalizing. It's okay to sit in silence, bro. It's okay to sit in silence, sis. You don't always got to. Soon as you break up with somebody, you in the arms of somebody else. How about you sit your silly ass down for a second? How about you be by yourself? You don't even know who the fuck you are. Because nobody ever taught you that was important. Nobody ever taught you just knowing who you are was important. Learn who you are. What's your weaknesses? What's your strengths? Embrace them. Not just the strengths, but your weaknesses too. If you understand and you embrace, instead of trying to cover it up and making it seem like you're strong in an area that you're not strong in, well, then, if you're here for pretend shit, you're going to get pretend shit. But when you learn to just deal with, yo, I'm not strong in that area, but I would want to be. Okay, that's what we're talking about. That is what we call knowledge of self. That is what we call knowledge of the self. And that's going to help you rather than, oh, I'm not good in that area, but I'm going to pretend like I am. Well, you let me know how that work out for you in the long run. Because that's all that really matters, the long run. Right? They made you seem like if anything can happen in 1 second. Anything can happen in 1 second, but the possibility of that happening. Right? Let's take Jermaine Dupri's story in a little group he had called Crisscross. Now, Crisscross, when I came up, they just had a story like you've never heard before, right? They became one of the biggest rap groups, rap duos. And when we heard their story, Jermaine Dupri, a music producer, had went to the mall and he seen these kids that wasn't even rapping. They just had style. And he asked them, do you want to be rappers? And the next thing you know, they the biggest fucking sensation in the world. Have a hit called Jump, Jump. The Mac gotta make you jump, jump. The Daddy Mac make you jump, jump. Fucking beat was slamming. Right? They had a whole fad where you wore your clothes backwards. Had everybody wearing their fucking clothes backwards, right? Shout out to ABC, another bad creation. That's from another group, but they had everybody trying to wear their clothes inside out. Shit got stupid in the black community, as it always does. Nonetheless, my point in bringing that up is everybody thought that if I just go to the mall, that's yo, after that, everybody was running to the mall like that's where they was gonna find all these fucking artists, right? So everybody started hanging out in the mall like, yo, this is where Crisscross was found. We gotta go to the malls. They're looking for rap artists. They're not looking for fucking rap artists at the malls, bro. And it never changes, right? 50 Cent gets shot 9 times, he gets signed. Next thing you know, everybody's trying to get shot and with a story just to get known, just to become a rapper. My point is, we're always looking for the easiest route, which you rationally and logically you should be looking for the easiest route, right? But shortcuts is not the normal way to stabilize something. And everyone was looking for a shortcut, is what I'm saying. And it's not realistic. It's not realistic. And in the end, overall, We have so many people. You have a nation full of people who's looking for fucking shortcuts to become the next best sensation. Every day we're becoming dumber and dumber because we believe that if we get on this contraption and say the wildest shit, do the wildest shit, have the wildest stories, like the wildest conversation, the most nonsensical conversations, then surely we will rise to the top. There was one point in the black community, the smarter you were, the less you were liked, the less you were respected. And I say that there was one time, because I don't honestly know what's going on right now out there. So I say one time as a point of reference. But the smarter you were, the less you were respected, right? But the more dangerous and ignorant you were, then the more you were. It's like none of this shit makes or made any fucking sense, right? Because right now, if the lights went out and you needed someone to try to put the lights back on, you're going to look for someone who understands electricity. You're going to look for someone who understands science. That person is going to have the power, right? You're not going to kill that person. You may threaten that person, like, yo, you better fucking make electricity or else. Until that person realizes, like, wait, I got the fucking power. I have the power. If anything happens to me, you guys are fucked. You'll be in the dark forever. And I say that to say, it kind of goes back to us being the youngest planet amongst the galaxies. And it's like, in such a short span of time, how could we fuck up so bad? People are down here bragging about being ignorant and being the most ignorant. And I don't wish there was an EMP, but sometimes I imagine that shit, right? No matter how mad I get, I can't really try to manifest an EMP to wipe out electricity grids, because that's the last thing we fucking need. Because if that happened, it would be total chaos. We're not ready for shit like that as a people. We're so primitive, so fucking primitive. But you know how people would die? I mean, I don't want to give Bill Gates any more ideas than he fucking needs, because that guy is a wild boy. He definitely tried to block out the sun. Do remember that. Tried to block out the sun. Amongst other things that we should not talk about. But how are you so proud to take pride in ignorance, and you don't know the simplest way to survive if a truck was not bringing food to the supermarket? And they've run these tests on us just to see what we would do, right? Remember when? That's why every once in a while they say, "Oh, all the containers is clogged at the dock. Nothing's getting through." Around the time of COVID, if you remember, the cabinets also went bare in the supermarket. If you remember. And they did a test on us to see what we would do. And I watched people pass rice and beans in the supermarket. I watched them. Me and my wife. She'll tell you. She was there with me. We watched them. The cabinets, the shelves was already fucking bare, right? We had to grab whatever little rice they had there in the supermarket. And motherfuckers was in the next aisle fighting over toilet tissue. I shit you not. I'll call my wife right now. She'll tell you. Right? We're trying to grab the rice and people are duking it out over fucking toilet tissue to wipe ass. And and you guys think you're ready for a fucking EMT? You don't even know how to wipe your ass without fucking modern technology. Well, what am I gonna do? Well, I understand I gotta eat, but how? How am I gonna wipe my ass? This is why I was fighting for the toilet tissue. God forbid. We don't need an EMP. Anyway. So we had Oumuamua, the satellite, right? What else did I mention in the title? The Dogon tribe. The Dogon tribe, I did mention them briefly when I spoke about Sirius B. No, I didn't mention Sirius B. I mentioned Nibiru. Sorry, the planet Nibiru. The Dogon tribe speak of history of people coming from the constellation of Sirius, the binary constellation of Sirius A and Sirius B that orbit each other. However, I am one who also believes in Sirius C. So I know they call it a binary star system, but I do believe that there may be a third star there, which is called Sirius C. Nonetheless, never mind all of that. A very, I don't want to call them primitive, but they are. But they can't be at the same time. The Dogon tribe, African tribe, have so much history and science and understanding of the positioning and history of these stars that it could not have come from just mere guessing, right? They understand something. There's so many things that don't make sense down here if you believe in the traditional story of the ancient religions. I mean, of the newer religions, which is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. If you just go off of those stories, then everything else won't make sense. You're going to reject it. I get that. I'm glad I'm free from any of that religious stuff. I don't need it. What I need is, I try to hunt down the truth, and the religions are not going to help me. The religions are not going to help me because they're based off of fallacies. So that's the number one reasons. The stories, not so much your God. I didn't come to disrespect your God, unless your God is Yahweh, because Yahweh is a bullshit God, if I've ever seen one in all my years of living. But once you get from around that dogmatic, controlling storyline, once you get away from that, and that takes, especially if you've been in it, it takes courage, right? Because this is the same ignorance that has been passed down from generation to generation, and it is such a sentimental, dogmatic ignorance. Right? There's sentiment there. It's so you want to take pride in, hey, my family, they gave me this religion, and you want to do that. So it's not for the faint of heart. You would have to be a very strong person to say, you know what, I just want to research on my own, right? Before you even just try to distance yourself from your religion, don't do that first. Just research on your own, outside of what your religion teaches you. And I'm going to tell you something. You're going to find some shit out that's going to break your heart. Because that is when you'll realize, wait a minute, you guys were keeping all this information from me? It's not that they was keeping it from you. They didn't know it them fucking selves. Because why would they know that? Like, why would they know anything outside of their religion? This is what they breathe. This is what they believe in wholeheartedly. But this is also why we got fucking wars and extremism, right? These same religions create such extremism and radicals from all of, not just Muslims. Don't try to blame all this radical and extremist talk on Muslims. You have fucking extreme Zionists right now, hiding, flying under the banner of Judaism, right? But in this book, it says there are those who say they are Jews. There are those who say they are Jews, and God damn it, they are not fucking Jews. But they are of the synagogue of Satan. Yeah. So, the elite, they know. And I am a strong believer that there's still a group of species down here that are not from that not are homo, they're not Homo sapiens sapien, right? I do believe we got a bunch of different groups down here. I think that's why, they do blood tests on you, but they never really give you your blood type unless you request it. And most insurance companies don't like to request it because they say it takes special fucking tests and all that. It take word, that's what you're telling me? Some bullshit like that? You know why I think they don't give it? Because we would start getting around and comparing each other's blood. Right? We're never satisfied with anything anyway, so we would definitely start tapping into other people's blood tests, changing. Okay, what you got going on? And then we would realize, wait a minute, why there's so many different fucking variations of blood? What does that even mean? Does that have anything to do with the possibility that there may be several different intergalactic species down here on this planet, but we all look humanoid? I do believe the truth will come out one day. I'll be long dead, but I do believe the truth will come out one day. Shout out to everybody who did hit the like button. I didn't even have enough people to say, yo, hit the like button. So the fact that I have 11 likes, that shit been saying 0 and 1 the entire show. But this is what I like to talk about. So I don't mind. But again, I'm shocked that shit even says 11 likes. All right, let's get into some of the notes I did. I never even went to my notes. That's number one. So let's talk about this latest interstellar object. Again, I did speak about Oumuamua, which was in 2017. They discovered that. So then there was another one called the Borisov. I don't really know that much about that. Here is the third one. It's called the Atlas. This is the the third interstellar object. Atlas, named after the survey that found it, Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, a NASA-funded sky survey designed to find near-Earth objects. So they're saying most likely this Atlas is a comet, ball of ice, which I don't think it is, that originated outside of the solar system. It's moving very fast, 130,000 miles per hour. So, it says it's moving too fast to be gravitationally bound to the sun. And that's why astronomers believe it's not from here at all. You don't say. I told you that my theory is that the Maldekians, if you don't know who the Maldekians were, they were the people from Maldek, but their planet was destroyed when the reptilians came to this planet Earth in their starship called Venus. The gravitational pull from the reptilians traveling in the star Death Destroyer Venus did something to Maldek. It ended up crashing into another planet, breaking apart. The people in Maldek had to go to Mars. I'm just giving you my theory. Now, you already had a Galactic Federation of Light. I just spoke about them. There were some high-ranking government officials in Israel who have spoken about them. Certain people know about them. Certain people won't talk about them. But I do believe that the Pleiadians, these are the people from the Pleiades. I do think that the Pleiadians, if you want to say it that way, are more than likely the leaders of this federation. But I think the reptilians were the first people here on this planet, but the Atlanteans they were sent down here to share this earth with the reptilians as well as the Maldekians, because the Maldekians had to go to Mars because their planet was destroyed. So the asteroid belt that you see up there, a lot of that is from the old planet Maldek. The Maldekians were sitting down here, and they pretty much habitated a continent called Lemuria, which is now destroyed. And the Atlanteans, they had the continent of Atlantis, which is also destroyed because of technology. And because these people couldn't get along. Now, do I believe every Maldekian, because Lemuria is destroyed, died? No. Do I believe every Atlantean died? No, I don't. I think their bloodline went on and moved on. But what we're missing here is the reptilians. The reptilians were underground anyway. So Atlantis may have been destroyed, and then their surviving colony could have just went and moved on to somewhere like Egypt. Do I think that's the case? I think that's highly possible. But it kind of leaves, what the fuck happened to the Maldekians or the people that was on Lumeria? And definitely what happened to the reptilians that already had a reputation for burying deep under, like they had a reputation for hollowing shit out and living in it, right? So they have so many, there's so many stories, international stories of the snake people building all type of tunnels under the earth, right? If you go to Nepal, you're gonna hear these stories. India, you're gonna hear these stories. China, you're gonna hear these stories. You're gonna hear these stories everywhere. You won't hear them in America because America doesn't want you to have this type of knowledge, so you won't hear that shit here. This is why you got to get out of whatever they're trying to give you here in this country. I'm sorry to say, it's probably in your best bet to reject this shit as soon as they offer it to you. I don't give a fuck what it is. If they're offering it to you, reject that shit here, right? Food is fucking poison, right? Whatever, the fucking education is tainted. The knowledge is tainted. The weed is not even real, right? Government got programs here where they're giving you all that. Whatever they offer you here, that shit is to harm you. And I do believe that is because when we talk about the elite bloodlines, now we're going back to, if we want to talk about elite bloodlines, then you got to tap into the people that was here on this planet first, which was not no Homo sapiens sapiens. Well, who was on this planet Earth? Planet first? I don't know. Who was Eve talking to in the fucking garden? Where the fuck did a walking reptilian man come from talking to Eve? And why did she take his advice? And where did those people go? Do you think they just all died out? No. I think, of course, originally, the original people are probably gone by now. But with every generation, everybody that was born within their bloodline, they passed on the knowledge of who they originally were. And this knowledge is secretly coveted. And only a few are allowed to know, the people that they're going to use. So I do believe they use some Homo sapiens sapiens as puppets here on this planet. And what these puppets get in return is riches and power. What seems is power. But I think the true powerful people, we never know who the fuck they are. Because they have no desire at all for their name to be known. No, we leave that for the Homo sapiens sapien representation. But no one can know that there's other species on this planet, because that would set off a firestorm and then they would jeopardize everything. People would go on a hunt looking for them. Why do you think that we're not allowed in Antarctica? You think they give a fuck if we would freeze to death? You think they're not allowing people in Antarctica because something would happen to us? We don't want anything to happen to you, so please don't go to Antarctica. That's what you think? They don't give a shit if anything happens. If you freeze to death in Antarctica, they don't want you in Antarctica because there's more than likely a whole world, a whole group of people out there that don't want to be bothered. Fucking Antarctica is probably like Narnia, right? Yeah, it's probably some ice and stuff. And then you probably hit a point where you've never seen the greenest grass like you see it out there. That shit is cartoon-like probably in Antarctica, right? They probably have healing waters and healing foods and all of that type of shit. Meanwhile, everything they feed us is contributing to fucking chronic disease. Inflammation of this, inflammation of that. Oh, but don't worry. We have a drug that will silence the symptoms of whatever you're going through, but it will take out another organ. We guarantee you that. This can't be the fucking way. This can't be. Hold on. I got 15 more minutes in my 2-hour show. Let me see what else I got going on here. And my notes. I spoke about the Pleiades. I think I spoke about the Dogon people of Mali. And Sirius A, which is the brightest star. And Sirius B, this is the smallest star that orbits it every 50,000 years. Spoke about that. Spoke about... I think I spoke about everything I wanted to speak about. And really, I speak about these things to plant seeds, right? Within your thinking, within your reasoning. So that you would consider, is the story that they're telling you lining up with rationale and logic? Especially with the new information that's coming out all the time. I don't know. It's up to you. Tonight, I enjoyed the conversation. Shout out to Cooking Master. He came over. We had a pleasant conversation. He asked me that I believe in God. I needed to know which God was he talking about, or just his definition of God. I believe that the gods that most people believe in were, if not made up, a reflection of extraterrestrials that came to this planet that just seemed a little bit more powerful than the people who inhabited this planet, right? So we make up words like, oh, that's a god. What does that mean to you? Does that mean you should worship him? Does that mean that if you don't worship him or her, that something would happen to you? Does that mean you're not showing respect because this being is, suppose it comes from a galaxy where a planet is way older than your planet, right? That has nothing to do with your creation at all. But they get here and they can do everything. They can fly, they can heal, they can do whatever, right? Because on their planet, these things are normal. Then they get here, you don't know shit about shit because they've been keeping you in the dark ages. Every 100 years, they try to regress and retard your knowledge level. They change your history. They change the maps. They don't never want you to know shit. So these beings get here and you look at them like, oh, these are the gods. Well, they just take it. They're like, all right, I'll be a god. This is a fun planet. Then they end up having sex with the people here, creating demigods. So I just wanted to know what God are you talking about? What is the definition of a God? Right? Christians, you calling Jesus a God? Well, let's find out first of all if that story is even fucking true. That's number one. There's so many fallacies and holes in that story. It's crazy. Number two, no. So, Jesus is not a God. But he could be God-like if he knew how to do way more shit than you. Which Like I said, if you went to a Tibetan temple for fucking 20 years right now, you may come out and come back to your old neighborhood. They may say you're a god. That story is so crazy, right? What fucking god is gonna fucking let somebody nail him to a cross and say he's doing it for you? That none of that makes sense, right? She's still out here taking back shots, beloved. I'm talking about loving it. Huh? She is not acting like a queen right now, my G. She's on her knees in the back of a club giving BJs, and you got nailed to a cross for this? That's tough, Lord. That's tough. That's tough. I don't know. I don't think. No. That story is a bullshit story. A lot of lightning going on out there. All right, that's my 2 hours. I'll be back in the morning. We'll have more people on because I'm going to throw something in the title that makes people... All of this shit is controlled by fucking keywords and algorithm. So, I do think in the morning we're going to talk about finances, though. I've been wanting to talk about this damn creation of money for the longest. So tomorrow morning might be the time for that. We'll see. Who knows? Other than that, thank you for whoever came through and kept me company while we had the discussion. And hopefully some people were inspired to what? To research yourself. You don't have to, don't believe anything I fucking tell you. Right? I told somebody came to troll me the other day, and I told them, listen, Frederick Douglass was a president of a bank, right? They started talking shit, right? What's your level of education? What, are you just making shit up? I said, bro, go look it up. The fuck are you talking to me for? You know that person never came back, right? They never responded to whether I was right or wrong, because I was right. But they're not going to teach you everything. You'll be surprised what you'll actually learn once you stop competing to be on this damn thing doing a bunch of nothing, right? Just, they sucking all the damn potential you got in you out of you up here on these contraptions. And anybody that acts like they give a shit about raising the conscious level of the people, they are immediately put into, like, separated from you guys, right? But again, if you go to Genesis 11, what's going on there? What's going on in Genesis 11? Well, clearly, there's a people of a different mentality, right? Clearly, there's a vision with a people with a vision. They said one to another, go to, let us make brick, burn them thoroughly. Huh? They done learned something from somewhere. They talk about chemistry and alchemy, putting some things together. Huh? They talk about using the sciences to make brick for stone and slime for mortar. They said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower. Why would you do that? Whose top may reach to heaven. You talking You talk about the people with a different conversation. You talk about the people that's trying to get somewhere. You talk about the people with a vision. Not everyone is trying to reach higher heights. And that's what's going on in this story. Let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. You talk about the people that's talking about a higher consciousness, beloved. But out of all of that, this is what I want you to pay attention to. It was easy for God to just come down and burn those people and be like, yo, I'm going to strike you with fire, right? That like, there's so many things that can be done here. But I want you to watch what actually happened. They wasn't struck with fire. They wasn't hit with boils on their body. None of that. It was very simple. I'm going to separate y'all through your understanding of each other. I'm going to separate. It was very simple, and it's so effective to this day. To this day. It's still being used. I'm just going to separate y'all through something simple as language. 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 And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower. So they had already started building this thing, which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they all have all one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined. Meaning we could, once we get on one accord, well, first of all, you would have to understand the language of numbers. And the fact that this story is in the first book in the 11th chapter. So that's 3 ones right there, right? But then in the first verse, now that's 4 ones. You got the first book, which is Genesis. You got the 11th chapter, which is 2 more ones. And then in the first verse of the 11th chapter in the first book, watch what it say. It say, and the whole earth was of one language and one speech. Now, let me ask you something. Do you honestly think all those ones was by coincidence? Let me ask you that before I end my show. You think it just happened like, no, that's the way God works. Shut your stupid ass fucking mouth and pay attention. It don't got nothing to do with the God you talking about. It has everything to do with the people understanding numerology and the coded language. There's an outer meaning and there's an inner meaning. If you read this at face value, you're just going to get the outer meaning. But if you did some type of history of the civilizations before, just history and civilizations within history, then you would start to get a better understanding of how these people were living, the things that they believed in. If I was you, I would read chapter 10 and 11 though. Genesis chapter 10 is, woo. There's a lot of meat and potatoes all through this book. But anyway, here was Yahweh's answer to it all. Yahweh said, let us go down. Now, who is Yahweh talking to? That's what I want to know, because he wasn't part of no fucking pantheon. But I would like to know who was he talking to. Anyway, Yahweh wasn't talking to a motherfucking body, because this is plagiarized, right? This whole story is plagiarized And really, they talk about the Elohim anyway. But the Elohim said, let us go down there and confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. And it's just that simple. So the Lord, Yahweh, scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city to higher consciousness, right? And that's all they do really on this contraption here. So because I understand, I don't really mind if I only got like 2 people in watching the show, because it says where there are 2 or 3 gathered together, right? So if there's 2 or 3 people gathered together on the same frequency, we got power, right? What they don't want is 100,000 people listening to this type of talk. That's going to cause a problem. Not to say that it can't happen, because obviously I could just do certain things like enroll in their ad program and shit like that to make that happen. Anyway, that's my 2 hours. I'll catch y'all in the morning. Let's talk about some of this Babylonian money magic. Shout out to Tucker Carlson. He had a guy on there who actually spoke about the banks creating money out of thin air. And when you realize that that these banks were creating money out of nothing, then you can kind of look and see how some certain groups of people could have way more money than everybody else. But you would have to understand what? First, law. That's the first thing you would have to understand, right? But if I'm speaking transparently, what group kind of dominates law? The people they call the Jewish people. Even though that's a religious organization, it's just when you say Jewish to me now, it's just a fraternity of people who, because it doesn't matter. It's not like this is a national ID. It's just some of these people are Russian, some of these people are Polish, some of these people are German, you could be Jewish from any fucking where, right? Anywhere. Trump's daughter just became fucking Jewish. You could be Jewish from anywhere. The point of the matter is, the people within this group, the people within this fraternity, they dominate certain sectors of life. That's the fucking point, right? So if we say, yo, they own everything, they got so much money, well, you would have to understand that they wrote the laws, and within writing the framework for so many things, not just the legal system, but also the economic system, then they was able to create it in a way where certain people were able to create banks. And with one of the benefits of creating a bank, if you are allowed to do so, is that you are able to create money within a system that wasn't necessarily there before, right? And this is the understanding we need to have, that if you were given a charter to allow a charter to create a bank, I think it's wild and crazy that one of the benefits is creating money out of nothing to give to your clients and your customers. But if you were the only one, and your group, your people were the only one that exactly knew how to do this, then your people are going to become very strong. Now they have the resources they need to dominate certain areas of life. You know what's crazy about that? I look at the black people and I say, damn, you destined to fucking fail, bro. Because not only are you not paying attention to realities like that and conversations like that, you are literally off talking about stupid shit every fucking day. Every day that the sun rises and falls, you spent most of that day dicking off talking about stupid shit. And another group of people are headed in the exact opposite direction, still dominating law, still dominating the same industries that you're complaining about, and you swear to God you're doing the right thing, you can't be doing the right thing. If not, doing the exact same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is fucking insanity. And all you guys, all the black people do is complain. Oh, the Jews own everything. So why don't you do like what they... These are the same people that got kicked out of all the countries. Every fucking country. Name a country, and these people have been kicked out of that motherfucker. And I'm not even exaggerating. That's the crazy shit. They've been kicked out of France 3 times. They're relentless. They don't fucking give up, Jack. But I know one thing they're gonna do, right? They was in ghettos just like we was in ghettos, right? I know one thing they're gonna do. They're gonna what they did, as I look back in history, is they kept on sending their children to fucking colleges, right? Because that was not because child college so much changes your life on its own, but a couple of things is gonna happen. You're gonna meet a certain class of people in these circles, right? And that's the requirement. They were writing the rules for what was going to be the requirement to get to a protected upper echelon, right? We didn't see that, and I don't think we had, we definitely, not all of us had the resources to do so. But nothing is going to stop. That doesn't take away from my black ancestors that did harbor, and there were plenty of black men who appreciated education and knew education would change their lives, right? And some of these same men tried to bring that mentality back to the black community, and it didn't last long. We were doing good for a second. If you go through Black history, you'll hear tons of inspiring stories about black men who started bus companies and all type of companies, but we were infiltrated yet again, easily broken apart, just like the story of the Tower of Babel. People trying to get to a higher consciousness, and then all they do is just separate. They'll come through with fucking black exploitation films like the Mac and all of this other crazy shit. And, all of a sudden, ignorance catches on like wildfire, and that's the new fad. The new fad is ignorance, and people just was taking pride and going to jail to this day. I'm going to assume, to this day. At one point, that was the standard prerequisite to be considered a real nigga in the hood. You would have to have gone and spent multiple years in a fucking jail penitentiary, while the white man tells you to strip down to your undies and lift your balls and spread your ass cheeks, and all type of fucking chaotic shit is going on in there. And it wasn't until then, after you have completed that, whether you came home with a scar or not, you just come home and then you get an imaginary, intangible badge of honor that says, "Here, you have done it. Success, my good boy." And you say, "I just want a job." Oh, there'll be none of that. You're not eligible for a fucking job. Who the fuck told you to get a felony? Well, you told me to get a felony. You said I had to be a real nigga. Yeah, bro, but I didn't expect you to really do that shit. You wildin'. You really went out here and became a real nigga. You're not eligible for shit. I mean, you could do it. You're gonna have to get shit expunged. Oh. Can't believe you listened to me. I was just fucking around. Duh. We have to respect knowledge again. We have to respect knowledge again. Say what you want about them Jewish people. They wrote the laws on finance. They wrote the laws, period, on fucking everything. What are we talking about? They wrote the laws on everything. But now, black people, you like hundreds of years behind now. Hundreds. So stop. All we run to is sports and entertainment. Sports and entertainment. And they allow us to throw a ball and they allow us to tap dance and all of this shit, and it's just a fucking shame. Who's going to give us the playbook that we have to sacrifice some generations of infiltrating these areas and getting inside to change shit in our communities? We have to now understand how to get into politics, how to get into the Justice Department. It's going to take some sacrifice. By sacrifice, I'm saying you may not see it, but you done set the seed, right? By sacrifice, I mean you in the hood, but you giving your children a totally different mentality. You know what I hate to see? I seen a girl at the airport the other day talking to her little daughter so horribly. Now she had a newborn, and she had that baby look about 4 she was talking to. And she wasn't with no man, so I'm pretty sure she was frustrated about shit. So there's an art to mating, right? Now, what the devil will have you believe is that you can get out here and just procreate. You can just get out here and have all type of sex without consequences. None of this shit is true. None of it is true. But you think it's true. And you celebrate this behavior. Why? Because sex feels good. The shit I hear and see is ridiculous. You don't respect education. You don't respect knowledge. You don't respect your body. And you don't respect the ability to procreate. Not respecting all of these things is going to keep us fucked up forever. The funny thing is, you know who controls the conversation about sex? The church, which is ridiculous, right? But outside of church, nobody is saying, yo, my man, keep your dick in your pants. That's not what, I know it feels good, right? Whoever told you to come out here and have sex with all these women and that's going to make you a better man, he lied to you. Right? So what we've done is normalize just having all type of look at Jay-Z. That's what my show was initially supposed to be about tonight. But what I don't like is people thinking that because I talk about that I wish the worst for Jay-Z. You know who I'm starting to get on my fucking nerves? They're called the Hip Hop News Uncensored. They starting to get on my fucking nerves, right? And I might do a show on them because, yo, why is y'all slobbing Jay-Z's knob though? Right? If that is Jay-Z's son, nigga, Jay-Z, take the fucking test, bro. Take the test. Now you getting on my nerves, Jay-Z. Nigga, that's your son. Right? But here's the deal. What you're going to prove is that you had sex with this young girl and she was underage. That's what it's going to prove. That's why you don't want the motherfucking story to come out. But bigger than all of that, I say, God damn, what kind of piece of shit ass nigga would have kids out here? Now here's an elite black man, a billionaire, one of the best rappers on the planet Earth, cool nigga, all that silly shit, right? Everybody look up to him. He co-owner of Rock Nation. Fuck all of that material shit. Nigga, you black, you had a male son, and you actually let him grow up alone? What's your excuse? You have no. Your excuse is, I didn't want to be seen as a statutory rapist. That's your excuse. That's your excuse. I'm not waiting for your answer, Jay-Z. Fuck your answer. Your excuse is now everybody's. The reason I'm pissed off at Hip Hop News Uncensored is because they always trying to make it seem like Ramir is out for a money grab. Well, one of y'all, did somebody pay y'all from Rock Nation that y'all would keep putting that conversation out there? Oh, it gotta be a money grab, Maybe a nigga want to know who his father was, you two fucking idiot ass niggas. Maybe he really did want to know who the fuck his father was. And imagine that. Your father being one of the richest black hip hop people that ever existed. Imagine that. And maybe he do want some fucking money. So what if Ramir wanted some money, man? So what? So what? Oh, some money grab. I think that's, fuck your opinion. Hip Hop News Uncensored. Old Dog or whatever y'all niggas names it. I don't know. I was trying to not spare y'all because my man is your man, you know what I'm saying? He's always telling me, yo, I can get them, but I'll be like, nah, I don't want no niggas. I don't want to be on there. I don't want to do nothing with them. Cause y'all at one point in time, y'all was those guys, but now I'm starting to see pure fuckery going on your channel, and you talking bullshit for Jay-Z. Oh, it's a money grab. So if that's his father, so what the fuck if it is a money grab? So what? That he's still the father, and he still slept with this girl, and she was under the legal age, and he was over the legal age. So what does a money grab have to do with anything? But I don't think that's originally why he wanted to know, or the only reason he wants to know, right? So these conversations are fucking stupid, and what happens is we normalize people just running around the earth, black men having seeds all willy-nilly, black women laying down with the slum of the fucking earth, having kids. Why? Because these people were not trained. At one point in time, we had elders who trained us in the mythologies of procreating. At one point in time, our ancestors would not allow us to lay down with somebody that wasn't evenly yoked. Funny thing is, most of these people say they fucking Christians, and all of this shit is in here. And I'm saying I'm not a Christian, and yet I'm still coming to this for my guidance. You got to be evenly yoked. You got to be evenly yoked. What the fuck is you just laying down with people for having kids? You fucking up the earth. You definitely fucking up America. But people don't need more kids. We, the community, we don't need to share one more square inch of this real estate with people that have not been raised correctly. It's not just behavioral. Why you might want to be evenly yoked, right? It's even hereditary in genetics. But if our children are not taught this, but yet we look at other civilizations and some of these people are still practicing managed marriage, right? No, you're going to marry him, you're going to marry her. This is for a reason. And at best, I get that may be a little antiquated. But at best, at least teach your children. You cannot just lay down with anybody and have sex with anybody and have youths with anybody. Because in fact, men running around having a dozen kids, not did shit for one of them. I'm talking about ain't teach this motherfucker nothing about life. They're gonna come around as an old man, want somebody to call you pop. Go fuck off. How about that part? They should write a law. Like if they did write a law. That's the funny shit. I was gonna say they should write a law if you don't take care of your kids. They already did. It's called child support, and all you niggas know how to do is cry. Right? Oh, nigga, stupid bitch got me on child support, son. Easy, easy, easy. Who's the stupid bitch? You talk about the stupid bitch you lay down with and had kids with? You are wildin', my boy. Now she's a stupid bitch? Huh? She ain't no better. She out here calling him an ain't shit ass nigga. You ain't shit. He wasn't. This the same nigga you laid down with and gave him the punani. Now he ain't shit. That nigga was, here's the deal, baby. That nigga was never shit. Ever. I don't know if you was on a Hennessy and hypnotic when you got with this nigga, but he was never ever shit. These are the facts. But you was thinking with your punani and he was thinking with his cock. And neither one of y'all was impressed upon that that's not how you should move, right? Because the only place they talk about sex is in the church, and they don't really talk about it as much as they judge. They just tell you, don't fornicate or you're going to hell, which is a bullshit story. You're not going to hell for fornicating, although your life may seem like hell if you fornicate. The things that can happen to you after you fornicate, let's keep it real, a bunch of shit can happen. You could get venereal disease. You understand? You could get people fucking stalking you. All type of shit could fucking happen after sex, where it may seem like fucking hell. But my point is, the only place they talk about this is in the churches, and don't nobody trust the church. Don't nobody trust the church. Church been fucking up for a long time. A long time. A long time. And maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow on our discussion about finance and economics. Because when we talk about the ability to create money, we talk about the ability of becoming a bank, right? So at one point in time, even if you weren't giving a charter to start a bank, you were giving the ability to partner with a bank, right? Just like now, you have certain fintech companies who partner with banks. They can't, it doesn't have the full capability of a bank, but you could do things like give short-term loans and payday loans and stuff like that. So with interest. So my thing is this: why is there so many churches, right? I remember counting the churches on Flatbush Avenue one day, and that shit just kept on fucking going. You literally had churches connected to each other by a wall, right? On both sides of the street. Ran into the hundreds on one fucking street, right? In my town alone, there was over 400 churches, right? How can an area be so destitute if you have all these churches? And you're always asking for money. And the problem is, you guys had the ability, if you were thinking, and not just off in some fucking fairy tale land, but actually thinking and using the resources that the government allows you to do. Why you didn't start a bank with your status? Why you didn't start something where you partner with a bank, and then if you wanted money from these broke people, that you're not telling them how to get fucking money. That's number one. You're not helping them get no money. You just beating them upside the fucking head every time they walk through your doors and begging them for bread. These people can't pay their light bill. They behind on shit, and you out here selling hope. Yo, God is gonna bless you. And then when that don't work, you selling fear. All right now, don't disobey God. You understand? Obedience is better than sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? Don't disobey. Help out God. Help yourself, nigga. Right? Why you didn't start a bank, or better yet, what y'all could have did, churches, is you could have started a credit. You wasn't never going to get a bank any old fucking way, but you could if you tried hard enough. But you could have started a credit union. The banks are they reserved for the elites. You have to, first of all, you have to have a certain amount. Not that we couldn't do it, because if we all came together, then we could meet the requirements needed to start these banks. But we can't work together. I already know that. I tried. So if I couldn't even do the little shit I was doing with the black people, ain't no fucking way in the world we was gonna start a bank together. But what y'all could have did without as much red tape, churches, is you could have started a credit union, right? With this, now, that ain't the end all be all, because you still have to teach people how to make money. So even if you have a credit union, you can't give a loan to people who don't know how to fucking make money, have no ability to make the money. So I think the conversation in the churches needed to change completely. Instead of waiting on some God to show up with shit, with gifts. I mean, what a primitive fucking template. Are you shitting me? This is the same template and playbook that ancient shamans used when they wanted rain to come down. It's like, please, just mimicking, doing a dance for rain to come down. And it's no fucking different. In 2025, you got people in the church catching the Holy Spirit, waiting for shit to change, for bills to get paid. That's not how they're going to get paid, nigga. They're going to get paid when you go in there and give these people some fucking money, and then they're going to say your account is clear. Never mind praying to the gods for fucking the best and hope. But that's what these churches do. So that's why if you hear a little bit of passion in my voice, because I'm just so tired of this generation after. Every year we throw a fucking party on December, 31st, and we say, oh, Happy New Year. And guess what? The next day, it's the same fucking shit. People still out here selling hope, selling fear. They're not selling hope, they're selling fear. Well, when you going to tell these people the truth, Jack? Well, being politically correct is not always popular. Being politically correct is not always popular. But somebody gotta say it. Somebody gotta say it. Give me a second. They had some event going on over there. Oh, they all left. These clouds have been selling wolf tickets for about 3 hours now. It's just been nothing but lightning in the sky. But it's not necessarily raining out there. All right. That's it. Holla at me in the morning. Let's talk about this Babylonian money magic and how these banks were actually creating these banks were creating money out of nowhere. It's a fascinating story. I'll make sure I put in the keywords so that we get a bunch of people in here and make it live and everything like that. I didn't do that with this. I just wanted to have actually there was certain people I wanted here tonight. I wanted Boondocks here. I wanted Frankie Blanco here. These are conversations they enjoy. But I didn't want to open it up to the entire world. So let's convene in the morning, and shout out to everybody that's watching. Trisha, Uncle Andy, B Dolo. Shout out to the regulars, man. Everybody. I haven't seen Kush in a minute. I haven't seen anybody in a minute because I've been working and dealing with different things, doing different things. So let's get together in the morning, have some more intellectual conversation. I'm enjoying these conversations. I don't know about you, but I'm enjoying these conversations. All right, y'all.